Welcome to another episode of the Future Is Now podcast, episode 2. And with me on the call is Sokeye Afolabi, our product software engineer and product manager at RetroCloud. Yeah, one of the fantastic startups that I've seen recently. And so I'll give you the honor to introduce yourself to people that are watching this video.
Okay, thank you very much, Dotson. Hi, everyone. My name is Afolabi Shokeye. I'm a product manager, vibe coder. I also deal in growth, operations, community. And one thing I'm really focused on is handling product and growth in early stage community. Early stage products, early stage startups, and then communities that empower young builders in tech. So yeah, that's just a bit about what I'm interested in.
Makes sense. So tell us about your background. Tell us about what was the first time you knew about AI and how has it transformed the team? And tell us about launching the products, launching an AI product, and what do you guys do?
Okay. So I would kind of go back, because I think most people think when you say the first time I heard about AI, maybe it would be when ChatGPT launched. But AI has always been in many forms. It has been in the recommendation systems on YouTube, it has been in the search engine on Google that recommends you results when you search. It has always been in machine learning, which has been powering many systems worldwide, even before large language models, or what they call transformers, came into play in the first place. I heard of AI way back in I would say 2015, 2016, because that's when ML started picking up in a lot of places. So that was the first time I really saw systems that were a bit smart, systems that could do autonomous things. And then, that was very interesting. And then to the latest part of when I heard about AI was not even in 2022. It was between 2020 and 2021 when OpenAI launched GPT-2. That was their first LLM that they actually launched back then. That was even before they launched GPT-3. Then it could do a few things. Also, when they launched DAO-E for the first time, that was OpenAI's first image model. I was testing it around, and then it wasn't as good as it was now. It was still coming up. It could do basic things. And then I think when it just blew up was 2022. When OpenAI launched it in November, and then I think they got about more than 1 million users in a week.
Yeah.
So that was also really impressive, and that just shows the possibilities of what OpenAI brought with GPT-3. That's been really amazing since then.
Okay, so I want to talk about RetroCloud. I want to talk about building AI into product building. How was it for the team? What are the problems that you saw? And you felt that wow, let's go for RetroCloud. So give me backstory of RetroCloud. Why the name RetroCloud?
RetroCloud. So me and my co-founders have been building startups for like the past 5 years. And we've always had like retro as a name in the backlog of whenever we were naming startups. And when we tried to name this one, we're thinking of many names, but nothing really stuck. Nothing was really natural. And then we brought back retro, the name, from what we've been doing before. And then cloud, because we are basically hosting AI on the cloud for businesses and developers and automation experts to access. And then that's how the name RetroCloud now came into fruition.
Makes sense. So tell me more about RetroCloud. You explain
I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm sure everybody knows how web scrapers work, where they help you scrape data from different websites or platforms from online. But one thing that web scrapers have always lacked is that they are very, very inefficient at getting context. So they just they scrape all the data, the entire thing, whether it's the data you want or it's not the data you want, they just scrape everything and get it to you. And before LLMs, that was a very, very stressful process because after you get the data, you still need to clean the data separately, right? But with LLMs, all of that has changed. And basically what we've built is not just to allow people to extract data from online, but also allow them extract it in a structured way. For example, let's say I'm building a aggregator product that aggregates different products from different e-commerce sites like Shopify, Jumia, Konga, Gigi, and basically anybody can come to my product to search products across all those other different products. I can basically use RetroCloud to scrape the product on those sites, specific information that I want, like the name of the product, the price, the description, and then I can scrape that and say, okay, I want to scrape 100 products with this particular information, name, description, price, and then I can scrape that from all the different sites with RetroCloud in a structured way, and then use it in my database or my AI application. And then also one thing we also help people do is use LLMs with their own custom data. So I don't know if anybody has noticed, but if you want to build your own solution where LLMs work with your data, you can't. If you use LLMs directly, they don't really give you the right context, because LLMs have access to the internet. LLMs have access to a lot of information that has been trained into their model. So even when you add your own data, it's kind of it always hallucinates, right? That's why maybe when you add your file in ChatGPT, it also hallucinates some of the things because of it has been trained on some data and it's taking that data over what you are giving, right? So what we built is called RAG. It's called Retrieval Augmented Generation. It's basically a way to bring an LLM out, LLM that doesn't have access to the internet or any of that, and then feed it your own data, your own custom data as a business or as a developer, and it's basically able to understand that context and generate an answer based on that, right? So those are the two main systems that we built at RetroCloud in the past year.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Fantastic. I love that. So let's talk about AI and business opportunities. So,
Okay.
where do you see the biggest opportunities for local business? Not just
Okay.
local business, for business to adopt generally. So, that if I'm
Yeah.
a business person and watching this video, where do you see opportunities to adopt in AI?
Okay, so I would say in many areas, in reducing costs, generating more revenue, automating processes. So in reducing cost, I would say that as a business owner now, in this age, you have way more opportunities than any other business owner has ever had in the lifetime of the world, right? You have access to AI that can help you create content, create strategies, AI that can help you sell self, right? Autonomously, right? AI that can go on the internet, scrape leads from the internet based on your own criteria, like, okay, my ideal customer profile is, people that own cement businesses, right? And you can basically use AI tools. I would give an example of one, Anyten, and then you can ask Anyten that it should go online, look for businesses that do cement, scrape their information, right? Qualify them as a lead. So based on the information you have, are they a good lead for the kind of products we have, or are they not? And then with the ones that they are leads, we send them information about our business, about how we can help them. We set up a meeting, we negotiate on the call, we convert that and move on to the next person, right? Before AI, you have to hire salespeople to do this, or as a founder, you have to do it yourself. But now that can be done in an autonomous workflow without needing to hire anybody. So in that case, it helps them automate a lot of processes, helps them reduce a lot of costs too, because of maybe before you used to you have to create maybe or hire designers to maybe design your solutions and all that. And not many businesses need so extensive design. They just want something simple. And you have many tools that these days you can use to create design, ChatGPT, Gemini, with their very progressive and mature image models that can basically do that for you without you having to fork out a lot of cash to spend on that. So in that case, there are so many opportunities in terms of cost reduction, in terms of process automation, and in terms of generating more revenue, because of now you are more productive as a business.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. So yeah, let's come back to Nigerian settings. A lot of businesses are still manual. A lot of businesses are still even battling on how to promote their business on social media. You know how far we are, and so what are the first steps? What are the steps that you think every business should take to introduce automation into their business? you spoke about how automation is going to help them to save money, be
Yeah.
more efficient and all. But the knowledge gap is still there. So, what steps do you think anybody that's watching this video right now? What
Okay.
steps do you think they need to take to, ChatGPT
Yeah.
to move forward?
Okay, so I would say just like what you said, there's a knowledge gap. So even though these tools can do it, you still have to learn it, right? So there's the knowledge gap and then there's the tool, right? And then what I would advise people to do is that now you have a universal teacher in LLMs. They know every single thing. If you don't know anything about marketing, you can just go, this is my business, this is what I do, and I want to come up with like a marketing strategy or a growth strategy that can help me do this, and this, right? And then I need tools for this, and this. And LLMs can come up with a plan, right, for you, telling you the step-by-step process to take for your business. So in that knowledge gap, it basically helps you squash and reduce that knowledge gap that you've had. And now you can also go and now say, okay, which tools can I use to do this? Like, oh, let's say I want to do video generation. It will say, okay, there are tools like Hydra AI, there are tools like VO3, and then even when you are in the process of creating the videos, you can tell it, okay, what way can I best prompt this video model to give me the best kind of maybe video for my business? And you can basically continuously have ChatGPT as an assistant and someone that, or any other LLM, by the way, as an assistant and someone that you constantly work with to kind of do things in your business. So I think like that's how I think about that whole use case.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. You're on point. So yeah, so talking about business owner,
Yeah.
uh, there's too many things going on in their head.
Yeah.
They're just thinking about how to move the business forward and all. So where do you see opportunities for employees and
Okay.
students now to
Yeah.
position themselves? Talking about the knowledge gap, I think it's an opportunity for employees and students to take advantage of
Yeah.
that and be able to come up. There's this popular saying that if you're not using, if your possibility of losing your job is high due to
Okay.
AI that's coming. So, what can you say about that for employees and students?
Okay. So I think the internet evolves generally. Not only the internet, the world evolves generally, and you would always have things that make the job easier. And unfortunately, that would always affect direct manual labor, right?
Yeah,
It's just like when calculators came in. When the internet came in, dictionaries became non-existent because of why would I enter a dictionary to search every single page while I can just use a search engine, right? But that doesn't mean dictionaries have been completely removed. It just means that there's now an easier process to go about these things, right? So in terms of students and employees, I'll start with students. This is the best time to be a student in the history of the world, right?
yeah,
You have access. You don't only have normal access to these AI models, you have free access. A lot of this LLM, a lot of these companies that are doing AI, they give students free access that normal people don't have, right? So now you have more access to these tools that normal people don't have, and then your would I say your limitations are basically endless, right? You have a lot of tools you have access to. For example, I would give a very, very good example, Notebook LM. A lot of people use Notebook LM. I've heard about Notebook LM. It's basically a tool where you can send the data. It can generate audio podcasts talking about the let's say subject that you want to learn about. You can also ask it anything about the subject. You can create quizzes on the subject. You can create flashcards on the subject. Like I've said, there's never been a better time to be a student than now in doing all those things, right? So you have access to all those tools. And for employees, you have access to so many tools in terms of enterprise assistance, right? Because of now, before finding information in companies, finding knowledge in companies is very hard. You have many tools that you're using. You're searching Google Drive, you're going to Notion, you're going here and there. But then there are now these tools where they integrate all these platforms you already use, and you have one universal search where you can just search, oh, what you don't even need to search the documents, just how much revenue did we make last month? And it will go through all the documents you have in different platforms and get that data and return it back to you in a natural language way, like, oh, we've made 10,000 in the last month, and it will even give you reference to the document you got that data from. I mean, that's really impressive.
yeah,
And automates the process and makes it way easier for people to use generally. And also another example I have is in customer support, where you have customer support agents that instead of, every time a customer comes to ask a question that is easily answerable, you just need to go through the FAQ. But they still come and then they enter the live chat and then they want to talk to actual customer support people. And it's wasted a lot of time. I remember when I was talking to a customer support person last month, and they said in their former company, they had over 100 requests in a day. And some of those questions are not questions that, some of those questions can be answered by customer support chat agents or
Yeah.
chatbots,
Yeah.
right? And that's also a use case where anybody that has a question, they first come, right, and they can chat with the AI. And because of, just like I said, what we power in RetroCloud is RAG, which is a system that allows you use LLMs with custom data. Businesses can basically use LLMs and their custom data for customer support agents. The LLM has access to the data. So anytime a customer asks a question like, oh, what are the policies around this particular product you offer? The LLM can just go through the data, get the context, generate an answer, and reply back to the customer without even needing to talk to a customer support person. So those are the powerful use case that I see for people, students and then employees in the whole AI space.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Thank you very much for that. So, in fact,
Yeah.
I like that conversation about use case because as you're giving examples, I can also think about the public service. From
Yeah.
my experience in the public service space, I know how it is very very boring. Going around with files.
Yeah.
When your boss is telling you to bring a memo from what happened last month or last week, you're
Yeah.
going to go and dig some file. And yeah, so with this, I think it's going to make sense, especially in the ed sector, how you can bring out ed records of people that are even dead, people that are connected to your family that are way gone, and you can know how you can prescribe for the next person. So yeah, so it makes sense. So let's talk about going forward in the
Okay.
next 3 to 5 years. Where do
Okay.
you see AI in
Yeah.
Nigeria? Yeah, currently now, some people are still like, is this a vibe? Is this a trend? Or is this some form of end time or what? So, but what do you think? Where do you see AI in Nigeria? And how do you advise anybody watching this video to position yourself for it? If you're a business owner, if you are not start your business, if you're an employee, if you're a student, whatever you are, even if you're a religious person, religious leader like pastor, what do you think in the next 5 years, whereby information, knowledge is free, knowledge is accessible? You can be a 5-year-old boy can get information of a professor. Now, what do you think? Where do you think things are going to be in that situation?
That
And where do you
situation.
think? Yeah, where do you think businesses can position themselves in that situation?
Okay, so just like I've said, this is the best time to be in Nigerian business, building locally or globally because of the access to AI in general. Because of, I've said it time and time again, you have access to so many knowledge, so many resources. There's actually no excuse now where you say, oh, I didn't have knowledge on marketing. Oh, I didn't have knowledge on this. AI can help you access those things without having to even spend money, right? So
Yeah,
this is the best time for any business. Even, I've seen online, I saw a 10-year-old boy, right, that is running a startup and right now is making $500 per month in revenue, right? Because of AI, right? He didn't even need to build it. Also, there are AI agents, right? In the next 2 to 3 years, AI, for example, this year, AI agents have been rampant. AI
yeah,
agents that are autonomous, that can do sales for you, they can do marketing for you, they can code your entire website, they can design your entire platform, they can do anything. All right, you have these adjacent or vertical agents in different industries that can help you do many things. So as a business, you can just say, okay, I'm not saying that, oh, okay, you're replacing anybody or you're having AI as employees. But as a business, let's say I'm doing a tech startup, right? If I want to start, right, I can basically use ChatGPT for my PRD. I can use Gemini for my UX writing. I can use Stitch by Google for my AI design. I can use Bolt, Claude, Cursor, Lovable,
available.
Vue, a lot of those solutions for my AI coding, right? I can use solutions like Superbase for my data. I don't even have to code anything end to end, and I can build a product that people can use directly. So, like I said, this is the best time to do anything, right, in that space as a business. And I think in the next 5 years or next 2 to 3 years, what would really be the norm is AI agents. AI agents are going to change everything that we've known. Where even right now we still have humans in the loop handling certain things, but I feel like in the next 5 years, maybe by 2030, humans will even be removed from the loop, right?
Yeah.
AI agents will be able to reason like humans completely, autonomously, with context, maybe even better because of I mean at this point I've seen the technology and it's becoming ridiculous. So maybe even better. But I think the goal is at the end, it's kind of augmenting what we do as humans, right? It's not really it can't really just go on its own and do things. At the end of the day, even though it's autonomous in achieving tasks for humans, not really for itself or for any other purpose. So that's like how I see AI like the next 5 years.
Makes sense, makes sense, makes sense, makes sense. Yeah, thank you very much for that. So I don't know if anybody have any question. Please, you can just drop in the chat so that we can treat it. And yeah, so to also as for follow up, I think we're running up in the next few
Okay.
minutes. So to also there's a lot of age gap when it comes
Okay.
to technology adoption and all. And I was listening to Sam Otman talk about how people that are below 20 years old are using ChatGPT, and how
Yeah.
people that are above 35 years old are using ChatGPT. Different experience, different
Yeah.
reactions to it and
Different
everything.
reaction states.
Yeah. So I want to know, what is that one myth that you would like to bust? What's that one myth that, let me say the word fallacy, that you like to know, let people know that this thing is, a good example is AI is going to take away people's job. And this is going to create more
I think
jobs.
that's the most popular myth that is there. But just like I said, technology in general augments new things, right? So it might not come in the form as, oh, it's planning to take a job. But like I said, when internet came, the ability for you to have to reach out on your phone to a knowledge expert to ask, oh, what do you know about this? I mean, it just became less needful for them. So it's more of a case like technology will keep on making things easier. It will keep on making things easier. And unfortunately, those things that is making easier might become outdated, right? The manual ways of doing those things might not be supported anymore. So I just think people have to get with the program. People have to innovate. People have to just use AI to make processes better rather than thinking that, oh, AI is taking my job. It's technology. Technology will always automate. And we can't do anything about it. Technology is going to keep on accelerating, keep on becoming better. At a point, self, we're going to have autonomous robots that
Yeah.
do a lot of things in human society. For example, what we even have, we're still in the software stage where it's just on the internet, right? And right now, anybody can do anything on the internet. But imagine what happens when you have autonomous systems physically as robots. Imagine for construction companies, for people that work at oil rigs, the kind of things that it can help do physically to remove the risk that we've always had with those kind of tedious job roles. I mean, it's going to be amazing. So
Yeah.
I just think like the myth is, oh, AI is going to take your job. Everything calculators took people's jobs too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Calculators took people's job, internet took people's job. It is what it is. You just have to innovate and get better.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah,
So
no,
talking about the opportunities that is coming. Yeah, agents, robots is going to be very interesting, and
it's going to be crazy.
the gap is there. So I think there's a question:
Okay.
what's the end goal for AI since they get intelligent? Let me take that again.
Yeah, I
What
can read it. Okay, what's the
okay?
end goal for AI since they get intelligence as the days go by? At some point, they'll get more intelligent than humans. What will be the reality for humans at that point? Like I said, technology will always get more intelligent, right? And I don't think there's anything we can do to stop it. But like I mentioned, these systems, they are not intelligent in a way that they would reason outside of what they can apply to humans. Their intelligence has to do with human tasks, right? All the data we're training it on is for human tasks. So AI will eventually be so good that it's better than humans at doing the task for themselves. But I also think that the way the technology is moving, it's also moving to make the technology better for the AI itself. Because of the way the technology is right now, it was built for humans. It wasn't built for AI, right? And that's why you have things like MCP today. MCP is basically just a way for AI to access resources and to make requests to tools on the internet. MCP is just an API wrapper. Normally, what you would have to do as a normal individual would be, okay, as a developer, you're integrating each individual API. But with MCP now, agents, which is AI agents, they don't even need to integrate the API. They have access to it via the server. You just make a request. Oh, if I want to be able to carry out this particular function, this I'll be able to do this with MCP in that particular tool, right? So I AI is probably going to become more intelligent than us. I don't think there's anything we can do to stop it. But I think what we'll do is that's why companies like OpenAI, Cursor, Claude, the ones that are actually working on these tools, have evaluation and safety in the way they create this AI. So they don't just create it and say, oh, go and do anything you want. They have guardrails, right? And in the long term, these guardrails will keep on keeping the AI in such a way that the job of the AI is to continuously help humans. In fact, that's the job of AI in the world today. It's just to continuously help humans achieve new things, continuously help us grow faster. In the future, probably AI systems are going to be building buildings, right? They're not going to need a human physically to do that. And it's just basically going to help us accelerate technology use, accelerate building, and I just think that's how it's going to be. And humans just have to live with that. But I think our job then would just be managing the AI to do these things in the future, right? So you would have people who work at technology companies who are building top of the line AI. They are working with AI to build AI that would be for the benefit of the entire world, right? So in the future, it's not just going to be building for directly building for humans. You're also going to be building for AI systems to be able to achieve more for humanity, right? So I think that's just how I see what the reality of humans would be at that point.
Yeah. To also add to that about building, so but currently we've seen what printing is doing, where you can sit down at your house and print your clothes, print your cup, your plates, your spoon. Right now, it's happening. So, and I was telling a friend that very soon I will design a house and give it to AI to print it out.
Yes.
So yeah, it's very very impressive for sure. And so for people listening, any final advice for people that are listening to this, and some people are like scared. This AI rise is moving. This AI trend is going so fast. They don't know what is going to happen next week. We don't know what is going to release the madness. Apple is still by the corner, coming up. And so, what do you advise people to position themselves? How do you advise for people to, don't be scared, embrace this, no matter what your age is or your experiences? What's that advice, final advice I can give to people?
Okay, so right now in the world, only about 5 to 10% of people really know what AI does. Most people just hear AI and they don't have any idea. They've not used these tools. Another thing you need to understand is that at the end of the day, it's just helping you get your job done, right?
Yeah.
The difference between me as a product manager before AI and after AI is massive, right? I don't think I ever had the thought where I'm like, oh, AI will take my job. I was even happy that AI came because there are certain tasks that are just tedious, that are just stressful. In fact, before I had to generate PRDs by hand, go on the internet, look through information, do research, and then do all those things, still copy those information, come back, rewrite. It was a lot of stress. And then when AI just came in, like I said, that same job, AI just helping you augment what you already do. It just made that process way easier, right? So rather than thinking of a point of AI will take my job, think of it as a point of AI will help me get more jobs because of now I'm more efficient with that. So I just think that's my feedback on that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time, Falabi. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I want to let's connect. How anybody that's watching this video, how can we connect with you? How can we in case you
Okay.
need a service, how can we connect with you?
So you can reach out to me at Shoke on Twitter. That's where I'm most active. Also Afolabi Shoke on LinkedIn. If you have any question or anything that you need to reach out for, or anything you need to ask that has to do with AI specifically, I'm always free to answer anybody's question. Whether you're a business building, you need advice on like how to use AI tools to do particular things, or you're an entrepreneur, or you're a student, or any of that. My DMs are always open to help people handle that. So yeah, I think that's how you can reach out.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for giving us this knowledge, and looking forward to connect with you more and
Yeah,
do this again. Thank
yeah.
you very much. Thank you
Yeah,
to
thank
everybody
you
that
very
have
much.
joined this video.
Dawson. And thank you very much to everyone that showed up. Really amazing audience. Thank you to SpringitalAI for hosting this. And I hope everybody was able to learn a lot. So yeah, have a good one.
Yeah, thank you very much. Peace.
Peace.